It's Myisha T. Hill. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So great to be sharing a little bit of my lived experience with you. Today, I want to talk about self-responsibility and how I got here. Becoming sober actually became my path of understanding what it means to actually be responsible for yourself. I had to start choosing myself and understanding that I was avoiding taking responsibility for my life. Things would happen in my life when I was drinking, and I would turn on everyone and shame everyone and like literally blame everyone for everything that I went through and not take a look at the mirror at myself. And being sober for 2 years and just about 2 months, I realized that self-responsibility is a sobriety practice. And when I say a sobriety practice, for me, it's the act of abstaining from self-destruction. One of the ways that denial of self-responsibility would show up for me is that things would happen. I would easily go into a victim mindset. I would blame myself for putting myself in situations. I would blame myself for uh, how people treated me. I would go through this whole loop of why everybody was against me. And it was EMDR, actually, EMDR therapy, talk therapy, sobriety, family therapy that has helped me opened up to recognize that part of my journey is being responsible for myself. Like I am fully responsible. And that feels like a lot, right? Because we've been socialized and or, as Don Miguel Ruiz says, domesticated into being responsible for everyone else except for ourselves. And so I had to learn how to, I have had to relearn actually how to become more responsible for myself and more responsible in my life. And that has required me to slow down and get quiet and really tell my friends, I love you, but right now I need to really do some self work. And I did this back in like 2021, 2022, but I was still drinking, right? I wasn't fully ready to take responsibility for my life. Because when you don't take responsibility, it's easy for you to say things like, no one loves me, no one cares about me, I don't feel supported. And a lot of times I was saying that from a wounded inner child or inner teenager, from the parts of myself that weren't resolved from childhood trauma. So, also, self responsibility is a reparenting practice. So, instead of me blaming my parents for what they didn't know, because the reality is a lot of the information we're getting today in real time, our parents didn't know. So instead of me blaming them for what they didn't know, it's how do I meet the version of Myisha who was a little girl or a teenager or a young adult and learn to say, hey, actually, you are loved, you are cared for. People do want to support you. People from around the world support you. They support your children. You're nourished. You're doing good work in the world, and good work is given with merit and support. And even in the darkest moments, you're never alone. And this is something I wouldn't have reached without sobriety, without therapy, without apologizing to the people in my life that I've hurt. And I've also learned becoming self-responsible means that just because you apologize doesn't take off the wound that you've hurt people with. And just because you've apologized, I don't need to have the expectation that people will immediately forgive me. But what I have learned on this journey of sobriety and self responsibility is that this is part of this self love journey, really learning to see myself as whole and repairing the parts of me that seek to destroy healthy, meaningful relationships. And so, if you're someone who's trying to figure out how do I become responsible for myself, or am I turning, it feels like sabotage, like, oh my gosh, I'm stepping away from everyone to care for myself. You're not selfish. Do it. Step away. Take care of yourself. Because if you're not going to take care of yourself, no one else is. Real talk. You have to go through seasons where you have to say, okay, in this season, I'm going to still be in community, but I need to hyper focus on myself. So that means that sometimes the needs for the community have to take a slow down or a pause while I ask community to help me support myself. And the last 2 years of my life is a living testimony of like literally leaning into community to care for me and my family. And while I'm coming out and emerging, being more visible and working again and healing from that social media, whatever that was, I'm learning that this is actually an act of self responsibility, which is again an act of self love. And I got here because of choosing to break my addictions, to behaviors that weren't supportive of myself and my family. So tell me, what do you do to become more self-responsible? What does that mean for you? Are you reparenting yourself? I don't know, leave a comment. And while you leave a comment, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And until I see you all again, keep living into your work.